So before I get started on this video, I just want to say that I give credit out to Evan Soloman Berger for some great music that he made for me, and he later told me that he is a composer, is not a producer, so obviously there's a difference there. I'm not in the music industry, so I have no idea. Go ahead and subscribe to his YouTube channel if you haven't already, and check out his social medias. He's given me a great puzzle piece, and I just kind of put these puzzle pieces together. So thanks for keeping me straight there, Evan. I appreciate that. So I hope everyone had a great New Year. I know I did, and I'm just glad that 2020's over and past us. I just thought either it's OCD or just kind of wanting to save these for later, but I consciously left these out of the last video because I addressed some signings, and I thought maybe these would make a perfect topic for another separate video, the PTOs, and then obviously some drama that came along recently that we'll get to later. But I just want to go over a few PTOs first that have been handed out to these respective players. So the first one is to Craig Anderson. Around a week ago, Craig Anderson was signed by Washington on a PTO basis as the backup replacement for Henrik Lundqvist. And as we all know, Lundqvist was originally supposed to be the solidified backup, but unfortunately, he's not going to be able to play because of some health concerns and issues. So obviously the Caps did want a more experienced veteran, or they do. That's more ideal backing up Samsonov, as he's kind of similar to Carter Hart. He has tons of talent, but he's also a younger goalie. So he kind of needs someone to mentor him for a while through the process. Kind of like we've seen with Brian Elliott, Moose doing a great job with Carter Hart as his kind of protege. So looking at it, there weren't many choices, as the situation with Lundqvist, wasn't foreseen by the team as far as we know. So it really just came down to a few guys that kind of fit the criteria, like as in, older, experienced, UFAs, guys that could be possible fits. So it came down to kind of like Jimmy Howard, Corey Schneider, or Craig Anderson. Those were the three that really stood out to me as guys that would fit that criteria. So in my opinion, I think Andy was the right choice among them. He's getting older, he's at 39, but he still could battle it out and snag the backup position in training camp. And really, considering the team that he was playing for last season, he wasn't terrible statistically. He just kind of average. He had a .902 save percentage and a 3.25 goals against average. But if you look at it, at Anderson's stats, he seems to perform a lot better when less is expected of him. And I know some goalies like Jacob Markstrom and Connor Hellebuck are almost the opposite. They just thrive under a large workload and pressure. But maybe this will work out more in his favor. As of New Year's Day, the Capitals released their training camp rosters, so these are going to be Andy's adversaries during camp. Best of luck definitely to the guy going forward. Second on the list, we have Mike Hoffman, possibly the most interesting PTO here, I'd have to say. Why? Well, for one, he was the most attractive UFA available as far as a goal scorer forward is concerned. Also, after hitting the market and remaining there for around 3 months or so, definitely was also odd in that regard. But there was also, because there was interest from several teams. There was at least 15 to 16 teams, according to The Athletic, that showed interest in Hoffman at one point or another. But what's even more interesting is how the Cap has forced this situation upon him and forced the Blues to kind of wait to sign him due to financial constraints, as the main issue seems to be centered around the long-term injury reserve. Also, according to The Athletic, as according to Cap Friendly, they have currently Vladimir Tarasenko and Alex Steen only LTIR. Obviously, after Steen announced his retirement, things began to open up more, and therefore the Blues finally made their move. And really, I think Hoffman has to be ecstatic about this because, he put in all that time with Ottawa and made it to the Eastern Conference Finals, and not long after, all that drama happened, and he was sent down to a team that's also been struggling lately. So he's finally getting to play for a legit cup contender this time, as the Blues are going to be one of the best in their division, in my opinion. Hoffman put up 59 points in 69 games played with 29 goals on the season. Just imagine him, guys, on a line with Ryan O'Reilly and Tarasenko once he gets healthy. That would be a lights out first line, if you ask me. Anyways, I'm sure he's going to make the team. The real question will just be what kind and what value of contract he'll receive in the end. So this one, Scott Darling's PTO brings us right back down to Florida, where Hoffman last came from, to a team that's been struggling, specifically in net more recently. So they've been trying to kind of reinvent the net, you like that, by bringing in a familiar face in Roberto Luongo, who will oversee a new goaltending excellence department, which has been established exclusively by the Florida Panthers. And that's not the only sentimental move, I think, that's been made recently by the team, as they also are turning to Scott Darling possibly as a possible part of the solution by offering him a PTO ahead of training camp. And you might be wondering what the real connection could possibly be here. For many long-time NHL fans, though, it's blatantly obvious, as Darling was the netminder, as most of us know, who is partially responsible for the Blackhawks winning the 2015 Stanley Cup, and coach at the time was none other than Coach Q, Joe Quenneville. So this could be Darling's last real shot at landing an NHL contract, as he spent last season in Austria while playing for the EBL. Definitely in need of some redemption here. I mean, his stats kind of sadly speak for themselves, and I'll let them do that. But I'm wishing this guy all the best, and hopefully he can impress management and land a real contract. And I decided to finish this one out with a little controversy, or should I say drama. As most of us know by now, the Blues' former captain, Alex Pietrangelo, has left St. Louis and signed with Vegas. And after that happened, the captaincy then became vacant. And even more recently, management decided to remedy the situation by appointing former Conn Smythe winner Ryan O'Reilly as their next captain. So I first heard about the teammate that became combative with the decision from Spittin' Chicklets. And according to them and multiple other sources, Tarasenko expressed disappointment while doing an interview in Russian on the subject. And here's what he said from Google Translate. Of course, when you play for 8 years at a club and have been an assistant captain for a long time, you count on it. Schwartz and I have been playing for the longest at St. Louis of the guys on the team right now. But the management made a decision. I see no reason to discuss it, but how it happened, it happened. I just have to accept it, go out and play, he says. So obviously, yeah, the guy sounds low-key bummed out on this. Maybe, it's been blown up a little bit more than it needs to be, but I mean, that's what the media does. That's kind of their job. And you see me now, I'm following suit. It's an interesting little tidbit here, storyline, because, I can kind of see his side of things. I can kind of understand it. You've been on a team for a long, long time. This guy was drafted by the club in 2010, so he's seen a lot of things happen. He's been there around, around the team through the highs and lows, and all of a sudden, this guy comes in, and he's only been there for around 2 seasons, and snags a C. So I can kind of see it from Tarasenko's side. But I can also see it from the organization's side, because a lot of the captains that are more ideal, I think, for management are the ones that are those two-way players a lot of times. If they aren't defensemen, the guys that are willing to just play both sides of the ice. Not that Tarasenko never does, but I'm just saying, Ryan O'Reilly won the Selke for a reason. He also won the Lady Bang, so that's also kind of a good resume for captaincy. We see it a lot. Bergeron is a perfect example, a big-time Selke winner, and everyone's just, excited for him to finally get the C, which they've been, hoping for season upon season. So kind of, I think, a similar reasoning for giving the captaincy here. Obviously, he won the Conn Smythe in the playoffs, so he really proved himself that way as well, being very valuable to the team. But yeah, it sucks for Tarasenko. He's been there, like I said, he's been a staple in the organization for quite some time. But to me, I made a video about predicting the next captains, and I thought O'Reilly was the perfect fit. And some of you might disagree, but congrats to this guy. I think it's well deserved.